Welcome back to Swithbert Suplex Society. I am Swithbert, and we live in a society. Well, happy birthday to me. What an episode of Dynamite we had this week. We started it off with a little slideshow of all the things we were going to see tonight. That promptly took about 90 seconds, and we got straight into it. Mox and Claudio were taking on Hechicero and Takeshita. Just those four names alone should tell you that the match was absolutely and unequivocally big men slapping man meat. And that's all it was, back and forth, over and over and over. And oh boy, was there some crazy stuff. First and foremost, Takeshita has the thickest black eye that I've seen on any of the men or women on the roster in some time, honestly. It was puffy, it was black, it was blue, it was yellow, it was insane. But he pulled it together, man, and he got what was... He did it. He got it done. The whole match was real good. There was a moment where Hechicero and Claudio were having a little back and forth, and Claudio was going to throw Hechicero into the big swing. Hechicero reversed it, pulled back, got to the ropes, kicked Claudio off. Claudio went across the ring, bounced off, came back, and then Hechicero hit him with a monkey flip over the top rope and to the outside. Insanity. Absolute insanity. It was so good. The entire match probably lasted 15 minutes, 18 minutes, and obviously the Death Riders got the win, but not in a way you would expect. Normally they're very just ground and pound, keep their opponents down, just doing their thing, and then they get the 1, 2, 3 clean in the middle. No. Hechicero and Claudio were really going to war, and Claudio gave him a quick poke to the eyeball and pulled him into a roll-up, and 1, 2, 3, that was the whole thing. It was kind of a strange way to end the match, but at the same time, it made sense, and it worked. And once the Death Riders got the win, the Don Callis family came out, and they started to attack. Marina Shafir took a bump during all of this, and Takeshita was handed a chair, and a couple other people were holding Moxley up as perfect target just right in front of him. Takeshita turned it down. He threw the chair out of the ring. He was telling everybody, no. If I'm going to take him out, I'm going to take him out my way. And that was that. It was crazy how Takeshita, his character work is really gearing towards something that's not Don Callis family approved. I mean, that's really the only way I can think to say it. So we'll see what happens in the coming months with Takeshita. I really do think he's going to take the title on Sunday, which, Revolution is upon us, and I am so excited. So moving forward, that's just the no time limit match is going to be so good. I cannot wait to see how long those guys go. Again, my rough estimate is about 37 minutes. Don't ask why. Just 37 minutes. Takeshi's going to take it, and then some kind of fallout is going to happen with the Don Callis family. I can see it. I'm sure a lot of people can see it, but it's going to be very, very interesting. We moved into a pair of promos after that, one of them being between Willow Nightingale and Persephone. Again, Persephone just took the CMLL title off of Monet, and so she earned a shot at the TBS title tonight, and so they had a little back and forth backstage before their match, which came up a little while later, but so that whole promo lasted probably a minute, probably 90 seconds, and we immediately flipped into the second promo where Don Callis was pumping up Kyle Fletcher, and then MJF walked into frame and was like, hey, listen, I know you're going up against Bayley. That tiny dude kicked me in the face last week, so why don't you rough him up for me? Fletcher turned and said, I don't think you know who you're talking to. MJF looked over at Don Callis and was like, hey, you should really teach your guys how to talk to the champ. And then he walked off, and Fletcher was like, we're not working with him, are we? And Don Callis was like, no, of course not. No, that's not happening. No worries. That immediately rolled into Fletcher versus Mike Bailey, which was a really good match. This whole card tonight was just stacked with great match after great match after great match after great match. So Fletcher versus Bailey was really flippy-floppy. That's the only way I can describe it. It was back and forth. They were reversals. There were jumps, spins, literal flips to get out of stuff. And then Mike Bailey pulled off this ridiculous transition into an armbar on Fletcher. I want to go back and watch it 4 more times. It was just so graceful the way that he got popped into the air, got Fletcher's arm, did some kind of weird Okada roll, and had him in an armbar like instantaneously. It was super crazy, super rad. I was into it the whole time. There really didn't like it was for the TNT title, so there were moments where I honestly thought Bailey was going to take it and he was going to grab that title and he was going to run off with it, and then Okada showed up and there was nothing that could be done. Okada distracted the ref. There was a little bit of shenaniganery behind the ref's back, and Fletcher ended up with the win, which, I mean, in hindsight, yeah, that made perfect sense. So Fletcher kept the title. Bailey did his damnedest. He really put the effort in and showed that he could hang as a solo wrestler still, which I don't think anybody doubted that, but I wasn't sure what they were going to do with Bailey when they were pushing Kevin Knight as hard as they have been. So there was that. Pure and simple, it was just such a crazy back and forth the entire time until Okada popped up. They really seemed to be doing a lot of apron work during the match too. I mean, there was a Poison Rana on the apron at one point. There was a lot of back and forth fighting. They spent a decent amount of time on the apron, which you don't see a lot, like even one apron spot a lot in matches. And I think they had like 4 or 5 apron spots, and it was really good. It was a contender for match of the night, I'll tell you that. Following that, we had a standby match, which I'm a little lost as far as like what's going on with these. They're making it seem like other matches are ending quicker, so they're just throwing some guys in there. It was Brody King. As he was coming in with his entrance, they played a little package saying like of him, obviously saying like, I've been looking for Swerve all day, haven't been able to find him, and now I get told I got a match like right now, and I'm not ready for it. And he wasn't in his gear at all. He just came out like in his regular clothes and took his coat off, took his shirt off. They didn't even have time to introduce his opponent. So I'm not even sure who the young man who got squashed in 10 seconds was, but the dude bum rushed King and got hit with a huge lariat, and then got picked up and got hit with that like weird tombstone thing that he does. And that was that. That was the whole thing. Brody rolled out of the rings, started and the whole time he's looking around trying to find Swerve, but he rolls out, starts walking, toward the ramp from the far side of the ring, and he gets kind of close to the crowd, and lo and behold, Swerve pops out of the crowd, starts choking him with that chain, beats him up a little bit, throws him back into the ring. Swerve wraps the chain around Brody's neck. Brody gets his hands underneath it, gives himself a little breathing room, and then gets to his feet and snaps the chain. Very interesting take on how we're going to be moving into their match at Revolution, which I'm very much looking forward to. And then Brody just had his way for like 2 minutes. And he wrapped part of the chain around his arm, did that off the apron choke, hanging choke thing that he does. Prince Nana comes running out from somewhere, gets in the ring and starts hitting quotey fingers, obviously, Brody King's back, and that does nothing. And then Swerve is able to get a little bit of wiggle room, and he rolls away, and he and Nana go up the ramp. This Sunday is going to be so awesome. I cannot wait. So good on that. Good on them. Everything's looking awesome for this little rivalry. I can't wait to see what happens Sunday. We followed that up with a Mike Bailey promo. Renee was in the back with him, and she was like, hey, tough loss. You've been having several tough losses since losing the trios titles. Like, what's your mindset going into Sunday? And Bailey was like, listen, I'm going to do whatever I can to get the trios titles back. It's me and Knight and Mystico, and we're going to go in there, and we're going to do our thing, and we're going to come out with gold. And that's just what's going to happen. So Don Callis family, be on watch. Like, we're coming after you. That was the whole thing there. Then we moved straight into the tag team match with Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin versus Gabe Kidd and Finley of the Dogs. And when I tell you that I was not expecting the amount of ridiculousness that happened during this match, believe me when I say I wasn't expecting this much ridiculousness from this match on standard television, right? It was, the Dogs were just unrelenting with their attacks. Darby was just as unrelenting with his stuff. He was throwing himself over, under, through, around the ropes, the posts, the stairs, the everything. Cassidy was being Cassidy. He hits hard when he needs to, but he also did inject that little bit of goofy wrestling into the match, which I thought was real good. Darby and Kid are going at it, and Orange Cassidy was setting up to hit the orange punch on Finley. He was in the corner of the railings there, near the entry ramp, when all of a sudden Connors comes out of nowhere and just blindsides Orange Cassidy with a tire iron. And not a standard, just the little bent tire iron. I'm talking the full, the plus sign star tire iron. So Orange Cassidy's down. Darby Allin had no idea that had happened, so he went up to the top to hit a coffin drop on Kid after rolling him back in, because he had set up a chair, put Kid in the chair on the outside of the ring, and then went from the top rope, missile drop kick to the chair with Kid in it. And Kid went sprawling. Darby splatted all over the pads on the ground. But he went for that coffin drop, and it was a failure. And then it was just Kid and Finley just throwing him up and doing finishing moves over and over and over. He turned into a rag doll. The Dogs got the 1, 2, 3, and that was the whole thing. Then Connors came over the railing into the ring. They beat up Darby a little bit more, rolled him out of the ring. Then they grabbed Orange Cassidy and they kind of held him as a present. And Connors, I believe it was Connors, was like, come on, get out here, come on. And guess who shows up after several weeks of just not existing in the space? Roderick Strong. And his music didn't play. He walked out from backstage, came down the ramp, got into the ring, and everything, the whole setup made it look like he was joining the Dogs, which would have been a very interesting fourth member for them. But at the last second, he switched it up. He hit Finley with a knee. He hit Kid with a huge drop kick. Then he hit Connors with something. I'm not even sure what, because it all happened like really, really fast. And then he hit Finley with like his like flippy-do backbreaker. And then he helped Darby slid back into the ring, hit Kid with a skateboard. Kid disappeared. Connors rolled out. Finley got demolished and rolled out. Roger Strong helped Orange Cassidy to his feet, and the three of them had their own little like stare down celebration type of thing for a second before everything turned to the dogs, and the dogs were just like, "Oh, I can't believe you would do this to us! Like, how dare you, bah!" And so they disappeared up the ramp, and that was the whole thing of that. So Roger Strong is back. He seems to be cool with Orange Cassidy now. They gave a really big high five, and then we went right into a commercial break. We came back from the commercial break, immediately introducing Persephone. She came down. She got in the ring. Willow came down. Willow got in the ring. They had their little moment. Bell rang. Boom, off we go to the races. Just both women giving it their all, showing exactly what they're made of, showing what they have to offer. And it was a good match. Not match of the night material, in my opinion. But we came away with Willow retaining the TBS title after Persephone attempted to do the same like finishing setup that she had done to Monet in Mexico to win the CMLL title, and it didn't work. And Willow ended up with the victory right then. Like, Persephone was very confused and distraught as to how her plan didn't come to fruition, but they still had their moment. Willow was very sportswomanly about the whole thing. It was a good match. You know, we pushed the narrative the direction it needed to go, and we got a little thing from Willow and Harley in the back afterwards, being like, "Hey, you know, we've had a real problem with Megan Bayne and that new girl Cross. So why don't we put why don't I put a title up at the pay-per-view? Maybe we put the tag titles up at the pay-per-view, and let's see what happens." And that was the whole thing. Then we moved on from it pretty quick. From there, we rolled into a video package showing off both Ciampa and Briscoe, just kind of their back and forth that they've had going the past few weeks. And that immediately rolled right into the trios match of Dem Bucks versus Ciampa and FTR. Stokely came down, you know, the whole rigmarole of everybody coming down the entry ramp, right? But as Ciampa and FTR were just outside the ring at the bottom of the ramp, Dem Bucks attacked, and we had a pre-bell brawl, which lasted several minutes, honestly. Like, it really pushed both teams. No one had a solid upper hand the entire time. Everybody seemed to be going back and forth. Stokely wheeled his little ass all the way back over to the commentator's desk and sat and was just like, "Oh, I don't know what's going on." And I mean, other than that, you know, it was really powerful. The entire match, there really weren't any lulls. Somebody was always half fresh and moving in and making the attack, and it ebbed and flowed both directions the whole time. The Bucks looked awesome as ever. Briscoe obviously, you know, does his Briscoe thing. FTR really put in the work that I think they needed to prove that they believe they can beat the Bucks on Sunday. Spoiler, doubt it. And finally, we kind of got to see some psycho killer shit from Ciampa, which, very excited. Finally, that's a thing. Like, for real. Like, let's get it going. Let's get it done, right? So we ended up, FTR took out the Bucks by putting one of them through a table that had been somehow at some point set up outside the ring, across from the hard cam. Then the second of the Young Bucks got taken out with one of those spike pile drivers on the commentator's desk, and the desk didn't break, so we know that, or that infers that it hurt extra bad because there was no breakage, there was no falling apart. It was just a solid thunk, and that was it. And we got back into the ring. It was Ciampa and Briscoe, and they were going at it. And Ciampa ended up getting the 1-2-3 there in the middle of the ring after FTR hit him with a shatter machine. So I'm so curious where this Ciampa Briscoe thing is going to go. I want Ciampa to go after more titles. I want him to have gold in some form or fashion. He is going to be part of the 21-man Battle Royal during the 0 hour of the Revolution pay-per-view. Maybe he pulls it together and becomes the new national champion. It would kind of hurt, personally, because I'm a huge Ricochet fan, to see Ricochet lose it. But at the same time, I could see it working. So we'll just have to see what happens during 0 hour, and hopefully it all boils down and pulls together, and we can make 3 new storylines out of that 21-man battle royal. That was the main event. Then we moved into a press conference between Paige and MJF. It was being held live backstage at the show, and it wasn't what I expected. I mean, it's a press conference, so, the people are there from all the different news outlets. Not me. I wasn't there. I'm not big enough yet. But they were asking questions back and forth. MJF was doing his MJF thing where it's like, listen, no matter what happens, I'm leaving with my title. Hangman Page was like, I'm going to do my damnedest and beat him up in ways that nobody has seen in a Texas death match before, and he's going to be leaving in an ambulance. And eventually MJF was like, you know what, let's do a toast. He didn't use the word toast. I can't remember the word that he used, but he grabbed 2 red Solo cups full of beer, and he went over to hand one to Hangman Page, and Page slapped it out of his hand. So MJF took his beer and splashed it in Page's face, and then a brawl ensued. And the 2 men fought across the little stage they were set up on. Shout out to Bryan Danielson for not being in the way of this whole thing, because he was standing in the middle at a podium while the 2 of them were seated at tables. So they fought across the stage, off camera, and then suddenly showed up in the arena and fought their way to the ring. As they were going after it and Paige had the upper hand on MJF in the ring, a bunch of security guards showed up. They pulled Paige off of MJF. MJF crawled his way to a corner, slipped on the ring, and when Paige had taken care of all of the security guards, because of course he did, MJF went to punch him in the face, and he missed and got hit with a deadeye. And as he was sprawled out in the ring, Paige rolled out of the ring, reached under the ring, and pulled out a board with a bunch of barbed wire on it. He left it there ringside, went to grab MJF, pull him to the apron, and he was going to try, and I believe he was going to try and do a deadeye from the apron to this board of barbed wire. But MJF escaped and ran across the ring and jumped out of the ring and jumped into the crowd and started running. And then MJF was standing in the crowd and he was barking at Paige, and Paige was standing on the second rope in the closest corner, and he was barking, and the 2 of them were just yelling at each other over the crowd. Fade to black. End of episode. Woof. I have to tell you, it was a lot. I don't have as many notes as I should, just because there was so much going on. I could not tear my eyes away from the television. So 1 page of notes is all I've got, just because there was so much action the entire time. We are going into this pay-per-view knowing that there's a lot on the line. Blood is going to get spilt. I cannot wait to see what Swerve and King do. I cannot wait to see what happens with Ciampa and the 21-man Battle Royal. The main event, the Texas Death Match, is going to be fantastic. I can't imagine what trick MJF is going to pull. I'm kind of thinking that he's going to, or he already has hired some Don Callis guys to come out and give him a hand. I couldn't tell you who's going to come to Page's defense. Maybe Swerve, but it depends on how beat up he is after his match with King. I can't imagine that like Samoa Joe is going to show up. Not so much to help Hangman, but to hinder MJF. That could be a thing. If anything, maybe Adam Cole makes a return. Like light prediction, he comes back and tries to screw MJF. I don't think MJF is going to lose the title. I'm pretty sure he's going to keep it. He needs to keep it at least the rest of the calendar year, if not longer. But the trios match is going to be really interesting. Like, this card for Revolution is so stacked, and I'm so ready, and I'm so excited. Like, I wish I could actually put money on it, but if you know, you know. So, looking forward to that. We do get a Collision on Saturday leading into Revolution, so we'll see what happens there. I am excited. So, be safe this week. Make it to Sunday with me. Let's get this pay-per-view handled, taken care of. I will have a video releasing after it, even if it means I have to stay up till 1 a.m. and then go to work the next day. Like, I'm gonna handle this, and it's gonna be awesome, and I cannot wait. So be good to yourselves, be good to others, do 3 things this week that make you smile. Don't take any wooden nickels, and I will see you Saturday night. Peace.